All right, this is my lesson observation feedback, Module 5, Unit 5, Activity 1, and I'm Bradley Barrett. I observed James Clare. I did not get partnered up for this activity. I've been having a hard time getting connected with the VC, and so I missed out on being partnered up. And so I chose James Clare to observe. I will be more than happy to complete my reflection for this activity if or when someone observes and completes feedback on my lesson. So this is what I got from observing James Clare's class.
Hey, James, my name is Brad Barrett. I'm part of cohort number 5, and I chose your teaching lesson to do my observation on. It's altogether great lesson. It looks like you teach maybe in China or somewhere over here in Asia. And I teach in Asia as well. I teach in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, so we are likely regional neighbors. Anyways, let's get to the observation. So again, overall, it was a really good class. I can tell you're teaching English language learners. You're teaching English to non-native speakers. A really big challenge, and so my hat's off to you. I really admire you for taking up that challenge. As so many students from this side of the world are desperate to learn our English language for all kinds of reasons, and so. Great job overall taking on that tough curriculum and that tough job. So I just want to say you had a great voice inflection. You're really easy to listen to. You have that really nice, as an American, I would say you have a really nice accent. Very easy on the ears, very easy to listen to. I'm sure your students appreciate that. So you're really just great voice inflection, enunciation. You can tell the students really like to listen to you. With that, you have really a solid command of the classroom. I could tell the students have a high level of respect for you. You likely have a great rapport built with many of the students, if not all the students. And it just seems like a really solid command of the classroom. There were a couple of times where you needed to correct a student in the lesson, and you could tell just immediate correction, not a big deal was made. You let them know what behavior they needed to change. They quickly changed the behavior and on with the lesson, and nobody lost face, or it wasn't a big deal wasn't made. So I just thought that was really solid, really good. I could tell that you have a high level of content understanding. I'm guessing that you've been teaching English to non-native speakers for some time. Maybe you even have a certificate or a degree in TOEFL or whatever, and so excellent content understanding. You had a great variety of activities. Most of the time the students were seated, or really all the time the students were seated at their desk working as individuals, but there was a lot of variety, so that kind of kept things popping and things going, and so that was great. And then from what I could tell, there was a good level, an adequate level of engagement from the students. I know that us teachers over here in Asia were very fortunate to have, for the most part, very, very highly respectful students. And so even if they're not engaging, sometimes it's hard for us to tell. They can trick us very easily because they don't want to disrespect us in any way. And so they at least look the part. And so I know how nice it is to have those kind of students. And so, but it looked like there was a good level of engagement there. So just a couple of things that I saw for possible improvement would be, just personally, I'm learning from a very Western style of education, and I know that's kind of how Teach Now is teaching us. And so I know it's really encouraged that us teachers have very clear learning objectives. Oftentimes, when my principal gives me an observation, I know that she expects to see the learning observation on the board somewhere, on a projected or written on the board, so that students can come in and immediately see what the daily learning objective is. And so simply, I couldn't see the board from the video, so you might have had it up there. It might have been projected or written on the board, but I just didn't hear or see a clear learning objective. And I know that's important, again, for the pedagogical style that we're being taught through Teach Now and through our Western perspective. Also, I thought maybe, the 21st century skills, critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. I thought, again, I don't teach English language learners the same way you do. I do have a classroom full of English language learners, but in an international school, and I teach high school, they're completely fluent. They almost always get 90s, 95s, or 100s on the TOEFL exam. And so I don't consider myself like in the same boat that you're in as far as really teaching the English language to non-native speakers in the TOEFL sense. And so maybe this wouldn't work, but I just thought maybe a little more collaboration in activities. Since they're learning the language, maybe having an opportunity to engage in some activities where they use the language with one another would help. And you probably do that often, but it just wasn't in this lesson, so it gives me something to point out for improvement. And so I thought maybe a little more collaboration in some of the activities. And then I also thought too, and this is my own Achilles heel that I'm always trying to work on in my lesson prepping, is more lively, engaging activities. So I realize that you have a set curriculum to work from, and it's a good curriculum. You had like this video thing going on the board that repeated some of the phrases that the students were using, a check for accuracy. Looks like you have brilliant curriculum. I just wonder if there are some, even if they're just opening activities or some type of activities that could just get the students up and moving a little bit more, and a little more lively, just to improve a little bit more on student engagement. So anyways, those were and again, you probably do that in other lessons, and it just wasn't in this one lesson. So I totally get that. So sometimes when I'm having an observation, like a pop-in observation that I don't know is coming, I'll think, no, right when I'll see my principal come in, I think, no, don't choose today. Today's lesson is dull and dry, and it's content heavy, but I'm not teaching it the best that I could because, whatever. And so I know how it is sometimes, those one lessons, you think, man, I do that all the time, but you're just not here to see it, So anyways, overall, though, great lesson. I can tell you're an experienced teacher. I can tell those students are really fortunate to have you as their teacher in the classroom. And so it was a pleasure to watch the video and to see you at work. And I learned something from every teacher that I watch, and I certainly learned something from you. So thank you very much, James, and I hope you have really good new year.